Good evening, everyone. Madam Principal, eminent speakers, Professor Shantanu and Sri Subhankar Gupta, participants, and dear students. I am Mohma Basu, the IQAC coordinator of Manipur Mohila Mahavidyalaya, and we have all come together here today for a webinar on management in the times of pandemic, which is very relevant today. I request our principal, Madam Dr. Vidisha Ghosh-Dostidar, to please give the inaugural address. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Mahua. Good to manage in the time.
Madam, we cannot hear you.
Now?
Yes, now we can.
Is it okay?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. Thank you. They are Professor Shantanu of Bidhan Chandra Krishi Viswavidyalaya and Subhankar Gupta, Chief Conservator of Forest and Field Director, Buxa Tiger Reserve. COVID-19 and lockdown has left great impact on our economy and livelihood of the poorer section of our society. Bee farmers are considered to be among those who had suffered a lot due to lockdown. In India, nearly 10,000 government-registered entities, individuals, societies, farms, companies, and a few self-help groups depend on beekeeping for their livelihood. 15 lakhs of bee colonies are registered all over India. The beekeeping business has its own challenges like pests and diseases of the bees, etc. During lockdown, the beekeepers had to face a peculiar problem which was beyond their imagination. Between February to June every year, the farmers move out from the apiary with the huge bee hives or boxes and travel hundreds of kilometers to reach mango and lychee orchards all over the country, which are laden with flowers at that time. They set the bees free. Bees collect their food, make honey, and pollinate the flowers, as a result of which we get fruits. During lockdown, movement of non-essential vehicles came to a standstill. The beekeepers were compelled for not moving the bee boxes to the orchards. The bees starved to death and production of fruits decreased due to lack of pollination. How it had created impact on the livelihood of bee farmers, we will hear from Professor Jha. According to International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, the IUCN, the COVID-19 pandemic will most likely have significant impacts on wildlife conservation, most of which will be assessed in the longer term. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the environmental policy agenda. Major events including the IUCN World Conservation Congress, scheduled to be held on June 2020 in France, have been postponed. The United Nations Climate Meeting, COP26, scheduled to be held on November 2020 in UK, has been postponed also. IUCN's position is that in the coming decade, enormous importance should be given on the future of biodiversity restoration of the planet, and we should understand the role of nature as a foundation for building a healthy and sustainable planet. Stress should also be given to understand how the ongoing crisis of biodiversity loss and degeneration are linked with development of zoonotic diseases like COVID-19. How the challenges of conservation of biodiversity in India are tackled, we will hear from Sri Sengupta. Now over to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Before we move on to the technical session, I request the participants to please do not present your screen during the webinar. আপনারা webinar চলাকালীন নিজেদের স্ক্রিন প্রেজেন্ট করবেন না। তাছাড়াও প্লিজ ডু নট মিউট দ্য স্পিকার। আপনারা দয়া করে বক্তাদের মিউট করে দেবেন না, এতে কিন্তু খুবই অসুবিধার সৃষ্টি হয়। বক্তাদের বক্তব্য হয়ে গেলে চ্যাট বক্সে ফিডব্যাক লিংক দেওয়া হবে, তার আগে বারবার করে মেসেজ করবেন না to give the feedback link. The feedback link will be provided only after the speakers have finished their talk. Thank you. Now, I request Professor Rima Kanjilal, Head of the Department of Education and convener of the webinar subcommittee, to please start the technical session. Over to you, Rima.
Thank you so much, Professor Basu. I first of all thank the resource persons for being with us. We are really honored. Thank you, Principal Madam Dr. Vidisha Ghosh Tosidar, and our IQAC coordinator, Professor Mumba Basu, for giving me this opportunity to conduct today's webinar session. And I'm really privileged. The main topic for today's webinar is management in the times of pandemic. So we have two eminent resource persons. Our first resource person is Professor Shantanu, who is the Faculty of Agriculture, Bidhan Chandra Krishi Viswavidyalaya. Sir is the former head, Department of Agricultural Entomology. He has 34 years of experience in teaching and research, published 115 research articles, guided 13 PhD students. Now, Principal Investigator, All India Coordinated Research Project on Honeybees and Pollinators, PL Commercial Apiculture Unit BCKB, a unit where teaching, research, training and commercial initiative has converged. He has acted as a technical advisor in Department of Science and Technology. He's a Directorate of Food Processing Industries and Horticultures, GOW, member of West Bengal Pollution Control Board. Today's sir's topic is livelihood management during COVID-19 pandemic, experience of apiculture. So I would request Professor Shantanu to please give valuable lecture, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome you all in this program. So straightway I am switching over to my presentation. Livelihood management during COVID-19 pandemic, experience of apiculture. Possibly I am audible to you all. Before getting into the agenda, I find from those who are participating here is a mixed audience or mixed participant from different subjects. They have come here. I know another speaker very well, has had a good close relationship with him. When every year we used to move, we used to send our bee boxes to Sundarban. I virtually used to meet him to get the formal permission of him. And I found in him a very nice personality. I welcome you also, sir, in this discussion. Now, as has already been told in the initial discussion, that we are globally united. I don't know how much we are in reality, but we must say, because we are affected by COVID-19, from one part of the globe to other, everyone is suffering out of it, and the term lockdown we are making use of, which we were not habituated to use earlier. And this lockdown has brought in huge impact in our life. What are those? Very precisely, I have told you that all the economic activities are shut down, production and supply of goods and services are disrupted, At the same time, as economic units are shut down, people lose jobs and wages. In addition, the people don't venture out to purchase goods and services during lockdown. Naturally, consumption is also reduced. Now, the recent crisis in the real global economy caused by either demand slowdown or supply shocks or financial crisis. Now, COVID-19 lockdown has added a new dimension towards this. Unique in both demand and supply have fallen. This is not a normal circumstance, as you understand, and rarely we encounter in history such a convergence or decline of demand and supply which occur. And for a non-economic external reason, it's not for economic reason, is something, a virus which you cannot find in your naked eyes, has compelled whole of the globe to put under this situation. Huge number, I am picking up one agenda out of it. Huge number of migrant workers. They are to go out of their workplace and come back to their home. This is global. And in our country and in our province also, they have come to their villages for whom livelihood maintenance is a great challenge. Not alike industrial production, however, the system of agriculture production has showed some more resilience and could maintain supply chain even in post-Amphan cyclonic disaster that we, in addition to this lockdown situation, we encountered in the southern part of West Bengal. That time I had been invited by a few of the channels, this media channels. We predicted that the farmers of this state in the southern part of Bengal will be coping with the post cyclonic disaster very quickly, and they did. The basic challenge before rural workforce is to find out their livelihood resources at home when they have come back from their workplaces from far off areas, which are basically industrialized areas. Amongst many agenda, 1001 possibilities could have been chosen out. So out of that, I have chosen out one, that is apiculture, which can be a potential enterprise for several for this rural youth workforce. And this is very important because to pick it up in a rural-based livelihood process, they won't be requiring agriculture-based livelihood process. They won't be requiring land, which is a very important limiting factor for that. Especially in West Bengal, this is furthermore very challenging. In addition to this, I want to draw your attention towards the Government of India initiative focusing on apiculture-based enterprise, and Government of India has already established honey mission and also has given call for sweet revolution. I want to draw your attention, be it positive or negative impact that we have encountered with earlier. We want to draw your attention. You cannot ignore that. Green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution surrounding the aquaculture, and now sweet revolution. Though we didn't look at it so importantly or so in depth, because this is something which possibly we don't look at very seriously in our everyday life. The project has been launched in August 2017 by Government of India for ushering in revolution in production of honey. Target definitely increasing honey production, but also it's something beyond that. That is, more importantly, improving pollination of our plants and especially the crop plants. This is more important so far as this this issue is concerned. Before getting into the agenda, let's analyze the background. Possibly you know that special flowering plants release nectars. And these nectars are otherwise, if we don't harvest, dry up at the end of the day. The total nectar the quantum of nectar that is being released by putting all the flowers of our country put together, which are nectar producing flowers, we can only harvest 20 to 25% of those in our country. And honey is being produced or processed. Honey is a processed product, in that way I will tell. The honey bees do bring these to their home and process it, convert this nectar into honey, and the total production of such honey in our country is now presently, this is 75 to 80,000 metric ton. Yeah. So you can easily understand that the total nectar quantum that is being produced every day by the flowering plants, especially which you call as nectar flow season, that I'll be discussing later on, and the bees which act as here the mediator, the processor, who brings this honey, nectar, process it and deposit in their honeycombs, which later on we harvest. So here also we are far away from the target. Only 20 to 25% of the nectar produced by our plants can be converted into honey right now and be harvested. Yeah, 18 lakhs of bee colonies are there, and beekeepers more than 2 lakhs. Though I have some doubt about this data, because systematic data collection is not there. So far as our state is concerned, our state is second largest honey producer in our country, and a few thousand beekeepers are there, possibly 8 to 10,000 beekeepers at best are there in our state. Gradually, a few of the challenges are there before them. So many of the beekeepers all go out of this agenda or their profession. As you find that they, in our country, the Farmers Commission, under the leadership of Dr. M. Swaminathan, drew our attention towards this, that the farmers supply the food to our countrymen, but majority of them, they want to go out of their profession. So nothing more important challenge be there before our country than this, possibly, which is basically an agriculture-based country. So this part I have told as a backdrop. You can find the challenge and you can find the potential. Now let's look into the bees. I won't be talking much technical issues. I find amongst the participants a few of our students, they can possibly cope with the issues if I go in depth with it, and few more are there other than my students too, I do understand. But everyone can understand. A few of the bees, beautiful bees are there globally. Though they are facing the challenge of decline. Pollinator decline is not only our state or country agenda, but pollinator decline has become a threat to our existence in the globe. It is gradually declining, and a few other factors play a very important role towards this. And we are now thinking about this, because if pollinators be withdrawn from the nature, so it will be disastrous for especially the cross-pollinated plants. Better I say, all flowering plants will be adversely affected, because pollen transfer is being done by the most importantly by insects. We can call it as entomophilous pollination, but they play the most important role, because they are to transfer the pollen for fertilization to the stigma, and that cannot be naturally done, as we find in case of animals. But this is to be done with the help of some of the agents. This can be air, water, flowing water, or more importantly by this insects. Now, amongst the insects, bees are eusocial organisms. Honeybees are eusocial organisms. So they don't not only collect honey to meet their own requirement of energy, they not only collect pollen to meet their own requirement of protein, but beyond that, they do work for their society. The way they do we human being can learn this from them. So bees collect more pollen, more nectar than they require. So that's why they visit the flowers more frequently than their own personal requirement. And that's why they help in better pollination to the crops. Though a line of caution I'm giving that bees are not panacea. They cannot face all the challenges in pollination. So biodiversity amongst the pollinators is a very important requirement, and that biodiversity of pollinators depend upon the biodiversity of the plants. The way we are going for afforestation, deforestation, we are cleaning the jungles and many things, which is not required to be cleaned, but we are doing this, even we apply chemicals to destroy this, or we destroy the forest to meet our own greed. So that poses us to challenge. I want to draw attention of Mr. Sengupta that last few years our teams are going to Sundarban. But after last disaster, not I am talking about this Amphan, but before that. So within this 1 year, we have found in this site that huge loss of plants have taken place already, which brings in impact on the life activities of the bees too that we have noticed this season. And a few of the bees I have brought in the slide. Rock bees, the largest one, that is Apis dorsata, that actually flies from hills to Sundarban. In between, they wet in our place as transit. The big colonies that you find on the plants or the building, on in huge buildings, those are Apis dorsata, play a very important role in natural condition as pollinators. Italian bee, we do call, this is commercially used, is Apis mellifera. Though this we are calling as European bee, but once it switched over, it moved from this Asian region and get domesticated in the European region. And now this is more productive in nature. This is Italian bee, produces honey. The most commercially we are making use of 45 to 60 kg of honey per box per year is being found from here. Rock bee, I have already told, this also produces good honey, 35 to 36 kg per honey per colony per year. Other than these Asian bees are there. So this is Apis cerana, and they produce much less of honey, but they have certain advantages, because for maintaining Apis mellifera, you have to move with the boxes, with the flow of honey or with the flow of nectar, which in our state starts from eucalyptus and then to mustard, then to coriander and black cumin, very important spices, and then to lychee, and our beekeepers move after that with these Apis mellifera colonies to Sundarban. And after May, when they come back to the mainland, they again set their boxes in Sisam. So this is the journey which the Italian beekeepers, that is, those who maintain this Apis mellifera, they are to go with these boxes. So huge cost and hazards also are there to maintain this. But for Asian bee, though this is a bit sluggish, I'm not saying that this is so sluggish that they remain in their houses always. No, they also move, but their aggressiveness is a bit less. But this can be maintained in the side, at the side of the farms around the year, and can well be used for honey production. Though production is less, help in pollination, total quantity of honey that is being produced can well be harvested without moving any other place. Next one is little bee. Though little, I am calling them, their role is not so little. You cannot belittle them. That is Apis florea. And this is, in size this is little, but in many cases they play a very important role. Though they produce less honey, but they help widely in pollination. In our condition also, you find they play a very important role. Whenever we do talk of honey bees, now we find that many people get interested in it. It's only for honey, but they are afraid of them due to their sting. Sting is nothing but a modified stinger is a modified actually egg laying apparatus. And so far as these worker bees are concerned, they make use of bees as a stinger to fight their enemies. Now, another bee is there. I'm not talking another single species bee. In our state, we do find 3 species of such bees, which we are putting under one agenda, that is stingless bee. They don't have stings, but they are highly potential for pollination. They are small, very, very undisturbing. You can find it in the hills to Sundarban, and they help in pollination a lot. And especially when we are facing the challenge of pollination, especially in greenhouse condition, because you know this, when this agriculture is being converted into industry, the plants are being put under greenhouse, and with the change in the climate condition, this greenhouse creation is a necessity. And there one very important challenge that the greenhouse growers are facing is pollination. There, stingless bees play very important role. So far as potential of apiculture-based livelihood is concerned in West Bengal, before getting into it, I draw your notice towards this classical definition of livelihood. A livelihood comprises the capabilities, assets, and activities required for a means of living. So what you can do, what a farmer field level can do, cannot be done by our students who pass out of the agriculture university. So capability difference is there, and assets. So for say one farmer, if you are is to work in the field, so they need to have the cropping field. So if they don't have, so they will have to work under someone. So they have their capacities, but lack of assets are there, and activities. They have to do the things. A livelihood is sustainable when it can cope with and recover from stresses and shocks, and maintain or enhance its capabilities and assets both now and in future, while not undermining the natural resource base. So here, one very important shock today we are talking about is livelihood, this COVID-19 and the lockdown shock. So how in this condition the beekeepers are coping with, that will be our agenda of talking, and the possibilities we'll be talking about this. Now, so far as this livelihood is concerned, say a few of the capital assets are being considered or need to be taken into account. And out of this, especially when this is apiculture or beekeeping, this is natural capital, where the beekeepers need to have bees, a place to keep them. They need water, sunshine, biodiversity for the flowers, floral biodiversity especially we talk about, and the environmental resources. Social capital for beekeeping, which they require, is help from families, friends, networks, membership of groups. I'll be talking later on with a specific project that there you'll be finding that group formation is highly required for them, because a few of the common facilities they do require for production to access into the market, access to wider society, market information, research findings. So these are the social capital for them. So far as human capital is concerned, in beekeeping, they require skill. I don't know who amongst you very closely watch the skills that the beekeepers do have. The way they maintain the colonies in nectar flow season and dark period. If you know this, then you'll be having the clear understanding about the skills that are required to maintain the bee knowledge. And I would be always saying that the beekeepers are very knowledgeable person about the biodiversity, plant biodiversity. If you can have talk with them, you will be easily understanding about this. Personal attributes like good health and strength also is required, and marketing expertise where they lag, they are lagging behind. And next one is physical capital needed for beekeeping is tools, equipments, transport, movement from one place to another with the bee boxes to honey that are being harvested. Roads, clean water, energy, buildings, and all those are the physical capital that is required for beekeeping. Here, I am presenting before you a framework of sustainable livelihood approach. This has been designed by DFID, and this is very, very. I want to draw your attention towards this to see. here, the livelihood assets that I have already told, human capital, natural capital, financial capital, and physical capital, and this social capital. So here, actually, uh, these are with these assets, even a livelihood, because you know that poor people cannot have a single livelihood. They cannot depend on a single livelihood activity. They are to depend basically on a basket of livelihood initiatives. So when we are talking about this in apiculture, so there also this framework plays very important works. Uh, they do face with certain vulnerability context. The socks, strains, and seasonality. We can group these vulnerabilities, and I'll be talking up later on, and how all these influence the policy institutions and the processes. Both way, policy institutions and processes that are being followed by the institutions, government agencies, and others to influence this livelihood-based activity, and ultimately the outcome, more of income, increase their well-being, then reduce vulnerability, and all these. So will be our livelihood income, outcome. And for that only we do talk about livelihoods. The framework considers people living and working within a context of vulnerability. I have already told SOX. Here the SOC is COVID-19 and the lockdown affected the global production system through lockdown. Trends is gradual decline in the quantity of flowering plants. I have already told about the Sundarban area, which is asset for West Bengal, but the way it is being, the total habitats are getting disturbed. Some are human mediated and some natural. So it is creating a threat towards this. And also we are destructing habitat here. We are cutting the forest. We are cleaning the jungles even with the use of some chemicals and causing habitat loss hugely. And also this monoculture and this habitation, that human habitation is destroying the nature the way the cities are coming up, our habitat. So that way it is a train which is actually influencing the areas of these flowering plants. Seasonality, a beekeeper's family needs financial support in the rainy season, it's off season. And otherwise they will be suffering from malnutrition for not getting food. Even in this season also they are suffering a lot and become vulnerable. So they cannot serve the our requirement this way. Okay. So to make this livelihood a sustainable one, the very important factor is how it is coping with and recovering from the stresses and shocks. We see situations worldwide where beekeeping can be especially valuable as it remains an activity possible for people living in even the most difficult circumstances. Isolated by lockdown in COVID-19, yeah, say in a village. There the growers, if they remain in isolation, they can grow, they can maintain the bee colonies. Even here this Apis cerana can well be maintained. Even Apis mellifera also could be maintained with certain supports in rural areas. This is because bees are nearly always available in the world and equipment can be made from whatever is to hand. Say, those who are being called as Mauli in Sundarban, they could have worked in these jungles. So yes, for certain period, they are not being allowed to get into Sundarban because this COVID-19. But they could have collected the honey or could have collected the honey from the forest also in this situation. Now, problem of production by the existing beekeepers and honey hunters need to be known by us. Otherwise, we cannot get into this. So, if we zero down the challenges into a specific agenda, so you see the production of honey through Apis mellifera is quite advantageous as it can produce, I have already told, to the tune of 40 kg honey per box per year. Apis cerana much lesser, I have told. But in the former case, it is cost intensive, I have already told, because they are to move with the flow of the nectar. So this is very costly. And even in that period, as Apis mellifera is very, very active, so they require energy sources, and we have to supply sugar syrup to them to maintain the colony in this season. That is very tedious job, and that is not much required for other bees. Nectar production, as I have already told, in our state starts with eucalyptus in mid of October, moves to mustard, then to coriander, black cumin, lychee, flora, and then to for Sundarban flora, and lastly sesame in the last of May that I have already told. At this period, beekeepers needs some short-term credit support to run their own unit, to purchase ration for that, to arrange food for their family and other requirements for their family. And finally, quick disposal of their harvest is also a requirement for them to achieve a fair price of their harvest. That this is very important challenge. In marketing, uh, uh, we need to tell the problem is here. It is season specific, no processing and storing facility available at farmers' disposal, so they have to depend on others. No institutional arrangement for credit support is much to them, so they have to take the credit as informal credit, though very strongly that is being that network is being maintained by the middlemen or the traders working in between the beekeepers and the corporates. This is very important. And here the organogram we are giving. At the top is the industrialists or the exporters who take away honey even from our state with no credit to our state. You will be finding much of data on this, that though second in rank in honey production, almost no share in honey business, no share at all in export business. So this has been taken away from here and marketed from somewhere else. They control everything. In between the beekeepers and these industrialists are the sellers. They are basically intermediaries. They give the advance and loans in cash and kind to the beekeepers, and they collect and they take back the honey from the beekeepers. And the beekeepers have no role at all over the fixing of price of their produce. So this is the basic challenge. This type of organogram you can also find in other agriculture production system. And here, keeping all these challenges and the possibilities, we can think of the thing, the beekeeping, the beeculture in a different way. This unorganized marketing system that prevails here gives a lucrative opportunity for these beekeepers to tap the vast potential of the market. And prospector market is huge, as you understand. India is one of the largest honey producing and exporting countries, having export value worth rupees $80.52 million during the year 2017. 50% of the honey produced in India is exported. Export destination: United States, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, Canada, and so opportunities. What are the opportunities that are there? The identification of production or growing area, and the related crop time sequence of nectar flow, where you can get any plan for establishing a honey hub. A detailed information about the nectar and pollen-rich plants of the area is required. This indicates the sources of nectar flow of the area. The state is especially endowed with 6 agroclimatic regions, as you understand. Yeah. Possibly, I'm hearing someone. Please. And also,
Admin, please mute the person.
Yes, ma'am. I have done it.
6 agroclimatic regions starting from the hills to the seesaw, and especially Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. So this is a huge source for us to for honey resources. And if we conceptualize honey hub, so that can be like this: at the center honey hub, and as you know that this need be linked with the beekeepers straightway, keeping away the intermediaries or the sellers. And groups can be found with the beekeepers, which we have called here as move group of different sizes, and credit advance can be given to those move groups by the honey hub, and also buyback facility can be developed. So, and this honey hub will be adding values to the product and help in marketing. So that way honey hub can play the concept of honey hub. That's why I'm bringing before you that can play very important role in beekeepers or beekeeping based industry. And this honey hub will be a cooperative like or society, cooperative society. They can play the role here. Beekeepers need to be credit linked. I have already told. It will collect the raw honey from them. It will sell those honey directly to in the market with proper branding. So that is required, because now these more groups straight away cannot bring these in the bigger market. If one individual can have 50 boxes in their capacity for maintenance, and if the 4-member or 6-member more group members be there, so that there will be 200 to 300 boxes. So common facilities can be there. If they are to move with the boxes, they can hire the lorry or other facilities, whatever be there, they can do that, or take the honey back to the market. So those common facilities is required, and this more group formation can help them in a lot. There will be exit and entry. Okay, so a few of the terms and conditions can be there. So this more group can form beekeepers multi-purpose society in the form of honey hub management committee, and they can take credit from state cooperative bank or some other bank, and they can pass this on to these beekeepers and for running their own hub. This cooperative can also extend professional and commercial support to the groups. Individual beekeepers, here you look into it, very simple. One beekeeper individually can produce on an average 2000 kg honey, 2 tons of honey from his 50 boxes per year without having any land and anything else. And if they get rupees 150 per kg from the society for their honey production, so they can get this production cost it be 100 rupees per kg. So at least 50 per kg they can get a surplus out of it, and 1 lakh net income they can have out of 50 boxes within 6 months of the year. Rest 6 months they can do some other work. And so far as honey hub is concerned, this can profitably be run, because the market price for selling can easily be rupees 180 per kg, and so 30 rupees per kg can be the surplus for the honey hub per kg. And if a 2000 metric ton capacity honey hub be established with 90% capacity, then gross margin will be 467.7823 lakhs per year, average of 10 years that we have calculated. So there is possibility of establishing profitably running this honey hub, and this is essentially required, because without this support the beekeepers cannot sustain. Now if we bring all this put together, we find that the strength, if we go for SWOT analysis of the initiative, so far as strength is concerned, the density of existing beekeepers is very high in the state. I would not be telling. In this region where we are talking about, in North Chhattisgarh Pargana, Nadia, South Chhattisgarh Pargana, and in this region, they are highly skilled too. And this second one is richness in floral biodiversity, especially that of Sundarban Biosphere Reserve, will be major source of honey. We find that 2/3 of the total honey that we harvest in this state, 2/3 comes from Sundarban. Cropping intensity is also very high. Almost all of those can be source of nectar and pollen that I have already enlisted before you. Weaknesses are there. Beekeepers are very poor and socially marginalized. Due to very poor price they get for their harvest, a good number of them are in mood of leaving the enterprise that I have already told. All the beekeepers are linked with intermediaries and are compelled to sell their product at any price fixed to them. The beekeepers don't have any say on it. 3. Beekeepers are totally divided on their linkages with intermediaries. They don't believe each other at all. Lack of quality awareness among the beekeepers of honey and honeybee products also is a very big challenge, and that has brought negative remarks about this enterprise of our state. Opportunities. West Bengal is endowed with wide floral diversity that I have told, and is a leading state in honey production. But share of the state in honey business is minimum, and nearly in the export share that I have told. Through establishment of honey hub, the situation can be reversed. Due to huge population pressure, land availability in West Bengal for any enterprise is a problem. Under such situation, beekeeping can well be a befitting initiative, which can be established without any requirement of land. Through establishment of such honey hub, the beekeepers can well be linked and can earn a better price from their harvest. Yeah, and any Sundarban honey, especially I am talking about, has a global market. The proposed honey hub can easily make inroad in that in a competitive price, but definitely a branding is a required for that. And threat is due to close land-man ratio that there prevails a continuous threat of deforestation for human settlement. This Mr. Subhankar can well cast light on it. It brings an impact on sustenance of honeybee population. Indiscriminate use of pesticides also bring an impact, and it has been repeatedly found that a consignment of different agricultural products from India has been rejected in the international market due to pesticide residue. In honey also that problem prevails. Alongside this, with pesticide residue, additional problem in honey is the antibiotics. As whole honey production system is almost dependent on crop production system, the problem of such residue may act as limiting factor in making inroads in the international market. So this in fine, I wanted to draw your attention towards this. And I would tell you that you can look into the issue in this way. And if you look at, you can find that what's the space that we have already. And under this challenge of COVID lockdown, or even we can proceed with this. So that will be a good livelihood opportunity for us, and especially the farmers who are suffering out of it. And if this be implemented, so that livelihood opportunity can help them in sustaining such challenges, have a better earning. Within 6 months, the amount of earnings they can have, especially I'll be talking about those youth forces amongst the agriculture families who went out of this threat to have their food from somewhere else, from the industrial initiatives. They can come here, join here, their hands. And I have already talked only about honey as a product, but there are other products from beekeeping: wax, royal jelly, bee venom, and propolis that can also be taken up for production and marketing. So youth forces, even educated youth amongst the agriculture families, can take it up for their activities. So these are the possibilities that I have brought before you. A very small chapter, part of agriculture initiative can come out as a very good possibility. So thank you for that. And I would very well like to interact with you later on. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank
Oh.
Thank you so much, sir, for your excellent and informative lecture. We have really learned a lot about the beekeepers and the honey production, and so many things we did not know before. So before we go to the next session, thank you so much, sir. So before we go to the next resource person, I'll just tell the participants two things. Number one is that our webinar is being shown live in YouTube. So persons who have not been able to register before, they can watch our webinar live in YouTube. And next is, if you have any questions to any resource person, please write in the chat box with your name, your institution name, and to the person you are referring to, you are asking the question. We will have this interactive session at the end of the panel discussion. So please bear with us. And so the next speaker for today is a resource person, is Sri Subhankar, a member of Indian Forest Service. His Bengal cadre is presently posted as Chief Conservator of Forest and Field Director, Buxa Tiger Reserve, Alipurduar, West Bengal. After completing his MSc in Zoology from Calcutta University and MSc in Forestry from the Forest Research Institute and Colleges, Dehradun, he also completed the postgraduate diploma in wildlife management from Wildlife Life Institute of India, Dehradun, and was awarded gold medal with honors. During his long service career, he has worked mostly in the field of wildlife management and has been actively associated with the management of important species like elephants, rhino, and tiger, and has worked towards mitigation of human wildlife conflict throughout the state. Presently, he is nominated as an expert in the Indo-German project on mitigation of human-wildlife conflict by the MOEF and CC Government of India. Sri Sengupta has also worked on deputation to Government of India in the field of forest inventory and remote sensing and GIS analysis of forests of the country at Forest Survey of India, and represented India in various international forums, both in India and abroad. Sri Subhankar Sengupta takes active interest in delivering popular lectures on forestry and wildlife management and is a regular participant in such programs of All India Radio and Doordarshan. He also has more than 20 published papers and articles in reputed national and international journals. He has been associated as visiting faculty in the Postgraduate Zoology and Environment Department of Calcutta University, PG Botany course of distance learning in Vidyasagar University, and guest lecturer in West Bengal State University, Barasat. He has been a member of Board of Studies for Forestry undergraduate course of Calcutta University and a regular lecturer on forest and wildlife topics in different colleges in PG and UG departments and reputed schools and educational institutions. So today's third topic is management of wildlife amidst COVID-19 pandemic. So before any further delay, I would request sir to please deliver your lecture, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, good evening and best wishes for the Eid ul Adha and Raksha Bandhan. Thanks to Dr. Bidisha Ghosh-Dostidar of Banipur Mahila Mahavidyalaya for inviting me to present this topic today. Also, I'm very happy I could meet Professor Shantanu Jha, my old acquaintance, and all of you. So today we will be discussing something about the wildlife management amidst this COVID-19 pandemic. I'll straightway go to some presentation. Let me just start it. Is it visible?
No, sir, it is not visible.
It is not visible.
No, sir, it is not visible.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
No, sir.
No.
Is it visible?
No, sir.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now.
Now
Yes,
it is
sir, now.
visible, sir.
Sorry.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So let us start. The topic today is the management of wildlife amidst COVID-19 pandemic.
Sir, can you start the slideshow?
Yeah, let me take a chance because there is some. Is it visible?
Sir, it is visible to us.
Okay, okay.
It's visible.
But the
Mr.
slide is not
Sanjuta, please
captured,
make it
sir.
a full screen. Full screen.
Yeah, it is in full screen. In actually, you know, I am talking to you from the
I know.
North Bengal forest.
I know.
It is an area where there is connectivity is always a problem. So I do not know. Hopefully, if it is, can you see the slide?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
yes,
it
we
is
can see.
visible.
Yeah. So regarding this management of wildlife amidst COVID-19 pandemic, let us have a discussion.
Sir, please make your screen, please make a slideshow, sir. Please make it full screen. The presentation, sir.
Sir, you have to click on the slideshow option on the top.
Yeah, I know. I have clicked on the slideshow option, but there is something. Can you see it?
Sir, your screen is visible to us, but the slideshow is not started, sir.
Slideshow has not started.
Click on the slideshow option.
Yeah, in spite of clicking that.
And then click on from the beginning.
Yeah, it is. This is the first slide. I'm sorry. Is it okay? Not yet. Hello.
Okay,
Yes, sir, you can continue, sir.
Let's proceed.
I think let's proceed with whatever we can see. Right?
Okay, sir. Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. You can continue, sir. Thank you.
So, as we come to the wildlife management part, basically, let us have an idea about the wildlife scenario of West Bengal. You know, West Bengal is the only state in the Indian subcontinent which extends from the snow-clad Himalayas to the sea, the Bay of Bengal. If you have a look, what are the animals that are found in different parts of West Bengal? It is very interesting to note that we get representation of a very huge array of biodiversity, which includes flora and fauna of various animals and plants. In the West Bengal, we have a very good protected area network. There are 6 national parks, 16 wildlife sanctuaries, 2 tiger reserves. Besides this, we have 2 elephant reserves. One is Mayur Jharna Elephant Reserve in the southern part of West Bengal, in this area, and the Eastern Duars Elephant Reserve in the northern part of West Bengal, in northeastern corner in Alipurduar district. And we have one biosphere reserve known as the Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. So more than 26% of the forest area of West Bengal is covered under the protected area network. But at the same time, you know, West Bengal does not have a big landmass, and we have a huge human population. So always there are certain challenges in this wildlife management. What are those? If we can list some of them. First thing, as I told you, the anthropogenic pressure, huge pressure of humankind. Then biotic pressure. Biotic pressure in the form of cattle. Then there is pressure of developmental activities which are taking place. Encroachment of corridors. What is a corridor? Will we call what area we call as a corridor? Because many of these animals, they have to move from one area to other of the forest. They have to move from one forest to another forest. The linkage between 2 different forests are known as corridors. These corridors, at one point of time, they used to be open corridors. But with more and more human beings, all these areas are getting encroached, or something or other is coming up in these areas. This is again leading to fragmentation of forest. What is fragmentation of forest? Fragmentation means hardly we have huge chunk of forest in West Bengal. You know, that is true for agricultural land also. We do not have big parcel of land. Similarly, except parts of North Bengal, in other parts of the state, we do not have big chunks of forest. They are fragmented. When we have these fragmented forests, then automatically the animals lose their area of movement, area of activity. Next immediate part which appears from this fragmentation of forest as a result is enclave village. That means surrounding a village on all sides you have forest. So the enclave village the animals have to move from one part of the forest to other through that village. Automatically they come in close contact with the human beings, and that leads to human wildlife conflict. Next issue is the habitat destruction. As I told, more and more human beings, they have more dependence on the forest. They go for clearing up the area, or they go for collection of some of the non-timber forest produce, maybe collection of honey, maybe collection of other things, but those are leading to destruction of the habitat. Then we have the problem of natural landslips. In the hilly areas, there are natural calamities, landslips, and again, in the flat areas, we have this changing course of river, which leads to this soil erosion. So this is another important thing, course change of river and erosion due to soil.
So sorry for the interruption, but the slides are not changing.
No, I have not changed the slide. I am talking about the things. I will change the slide in time.
Okay,
Please.
sir.
Then we have the problem of poaching. Poaching may be in two ways. One is for commercial purpose, when you poach a wild animal and sell the body part for commercial gain, or there may be small scale poaching where the villagers, they kill the animals for the purpose of meat. Then there may be forest fire. That is also man-made or natural, leading to habitat destruction. And another important part is, in the northern part of West Bengal, we have a long international boundary in the form of Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. So these all are the challenges of wildlife management. If we come to with this background, if we come to the next phase, so those are the challenges of wildlife management. Now, if we think in terms of wildlife and human conflict, what is this? What are these conflicts? What are the forms of this conflict? Like the straying of the wild animals into human habitation. When the animal comes into human habitation, they cause damage to the households in search of food, salt, or alcohol. Damage to the agricultural crops due to crop raiding and the movement of animals through crop field and trampling. Then when there is direct confrontation, there may be death of human beings, there may be injury of human beings. Again, there may be death or injury to domestic cattle. On the other hand, on the part of the wildlife, there may be death or injury of wild animals through road accident or collision with railway engines. The death of wild animal again may be intentional or due to accidental electrocution. This is also another challenge. And there may be death of wild animals due to intentional poisoning. So these are the conflicts. These are the forms of conflicts which we have to look into during the management of wildlife. Just I wanted to show you the major human-wildlife conflict zones in West Bengal. You see, we can divide it into two parts. One in the northern part of West Bengal, the districts of Darjeeling, Jalpaiguri, Alipurduar and Kuch Bihar, they are the major sufferers. And in the southern part, where the districts of Bankura, Purulia and West Midnapur are the major affected areas. You can have an idea that if we think in terms of India, the population density is 368 per square kilometer persons, whereas in West Bengal it is 1028 per square kilometer. So you can understand almost it is more than 3 times human population per square kilometer area, which leads to 3 times more human wildlife conflict. Again, if we look at the human wildlife conflict in North Bengal, what are the reasons? As I have already told, fragmented forest. Forest areas are fragmented. You see in this map, the green areas are the forest and the other colors depict the agricultural crop or habitation like that. In northern part of West Bengal, out of the total 2687 square kilometer area, we have 34% forest, 22% tea garden, 17% agricultural land, and 27% human habitation. And there is always a developmental pressure of construction of highways, railway track, encroachment of vacant lands, dams, army establishment, so on and so forth. Then in the tea garden areas, there is problem, as tea garden areas in the labor lines, they do not have electricity, they have the houses are oriented wrongly, the degradation, there is degradation of adjoining forests. So all these things leading to human wildlife conflict. Now if we come to South Bengal, as I told you, the major areas which suffer due to man-elephant conflict, because in South Bengal we do not have much big animal other than elephant which can cause human wildlife conflict. So we have problem in parts of Purulia district, in Bankura district, in West Midnapur district, in Jhargram district.
Sir, I am very sorry to interrupt you, sir, but your audio is mute, sir. Can you unmute yourself, sir? Someone has muted your audio. Participants, please do not mute the speaker.
Participants, please do not mute the speaker. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
We are very sorry, sir.
Yeah, is it now? Is it right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is audible, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So let me come to the problem in South Bengal. In case of South Bengal, the causes of man-elephant conflict are again almost similar. I'm sorry, it is creating again some problem. Yeah. Has the slide changed? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
So what are the different actions that taken by the government to mitigate the human-wildlife conflict? The first and foremost thing is the awareness generation among the people. Then payment of ex gratia to offset the loss for death, injury, or damage. Then the forest department is sending advance warning in the form of bulk SMS or through sound, light, radio, or social media messages. Then energized fencings are put to cordon off forest and non-forest areas. Engagement of rapid response teams. Deployment of vehicles and forces equipped with instruments for tackling human-wildlife conflict. Speed restrictions of vehicles on roads and trains within forested areas. Construction of alternate safe passages for animal movement. Forest Department also takes different measures to reduce habitat destruction by providing fodder and water inside the forest.
Sir, I'm very sorry again to interrupt you, but your screen is not visible, sir.
My screen is not visible. I'm sorry, but I do not know what's happening.
Sir, there is an option present now.
Yeah, present now, but that option I'm not getting. Present now.
Present now on your screen, sir.
Yeah, present now, but It is still not visible, no?
No, sir.
It is not visible.
Was coming, but again it is going. Hmm.
Mr. Sengupta, you can proceed verbally also, no problem.
I think that would be
Yeah,
better because there was some problem because it
Yeah,
was
no problem at all. Verbal
Okay, sir. Okay,
excellence.
sir. You can continue,
Yes,
sir. Okay,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Please
sir, you can
continue.
continue.
I think there is some network problem.
Yeah, there is some
Network problem.
that is
Sir,
creating
you
this.
can continue, sir. You can continue.
Okay, if we if we come to the next part regarding these problems, what we are facing during this COVID-19 management of wildlife during this COVID-19, thing is that what we have found over this period of 4 months during the lockdown, during March to June, if we compare the human death by encounter with elephant in West Bengal, it shows that it has this has reduced a lot. During 2017, we had encountered loss of 33 human lives. Again, during 2018, there were loss of 33 human lives. But during again 2019, it was 25. But during 2020, it is hardly 8. This is something because of less movement of human beings, and the animals are not being disturbed, and they can stay safely around the forest. Again, if we come to this death of wild elephants in West Bengal over 4-year period, there we find during 2017, in this period, we had death of 10 elephants. In 2018, we had death of 6 elephants. In 2019, we had death of 3 elephants. During 2020, we had during this period a death of 5 elephants. So you see how this thing has this lockdown and these problems have done maybe something good for the forest and wildlife management. Same thing we find in the case of leopards. The number of death cases have reduced a lot. In case of rhino, the number of death cases have reduced a lot. So one way this may be helpful for the forest. Again, if we have a if we look at the problems and activities what we have we are carrying out during this period. I'm sorry, actually this entire thing got so much disturbed, so cannot. The different forest protect, because I cannot show you the photographs. This is the major problem. If I could have shown you the photographs, it would have been much easier for you to comprehend also, and for me. Like during this period, we have been doing the giving the entire forest protection effort, like these watchtowers, patrolling in the forest. Then we have these river camps, dog squads. They are helping us in controlling the untoward incidences. The major issues of management, what we are finding right now, are there are lots of cases where the animals are coming, smaller animals, not the big animals, but the smaller animals are coming inside the human habitation. In recent times, we could capture this hystrix, that means porcupine, in Durgapur. There was capture of otter, small clawed otter in Kuch Bihar. Then almost every day we are finding lots of snakes which are coming towards the human habitation. There was a capture of mongoose in Kolkata. So these are all issues where the wild animals are coming.
What is the matter? What happened?
Ma'am, I think there is some network problem.
Is servers
That zone is
can't
totally
find
very
service.
weak in network, I know.
He's disconnected, I think, madam.
Yes, he's been disconnected.
Actually, he's in the interior. That is why there is a network problem. So what do we do, madam, then?
Wait for some time.
Yes.
Sometime what is to be done?
I'm calling him. Maybe he has not realized that he's cut off.
Yes. Please do.
Okay.
হ্যাঁ আমি ফোন করলাম ওনাকে, উনি বুঝতে পারেননি, উনি দেখছেন।
Okay, okay.
And Agamoni Saha, please stop muting us.
Yeah. Am I back? Can you?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, thing is that I do not know how far I had proceeded, but during this period, what I was mentioning, basically we had this regular problem of human wildlife conflict and others. It was greatly reduced in a way. Because there was less encounter or less movement of these human beings inside the forest or outside. But still, at some point of time, there were certain problems when the people were entering inside the forest for search of meat, small scale poaching and all. However, the forest department has been trying their best, and they have been controlling the situation. The forest personnel have been working as basically, I must say, as part of the emergency service. They have been functioning as part of the emergency service, and we are trying to manage everything in the best of its need. Thank you. I think this is all from me right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your informative session. Thank you very much. Our panel discussion ends here. We have a question for Dr. Jha, Professor Jha. It's from SG Day. Has mentioned the institution. The question is, beekeeping practice is not more in Western Forest, Jungle Mahal of West Bengal. What are the reasons behind this? And how to induce such practice in this region? Professor Jha, please.
As I have already told that this is, though having huge potential in West Bengal, as already Mr. Sengupta was also narrating about the biodiversity in our state, having 6 agroclimatic regions, starting from the hilly terrains to seashore, and the forest area, especially in the western side of our state. So there is huge possibility. This is totally not so much organized. So organizing the initiative is a very important issue that we are lagging behind. We are lacking also. That's why, though we are second in honey production, still we can go ahead with this. We can further increase this. Second is marketing. So basic issue is getting good price for the harvest is a requirement. For forest dwellers in western part of West Bengal also have the potential to do with this. This is very interesting that though so far as honey production is concerned, not much we do get out of the stingless bees, but stingless bee colonies you will be getting in the western part of West Bengal. In every villages you would be getting this. This gives us huge opportunity of making use of this for pollination, and especially in greenhouse pollination, and that can be a livelihood of the future. Who will be extending support by pollination service by managed pollination. So, and so far as honey production is concerned, Apis dorsata, Apis cerana indica will be a very good choice for western part of Bengal to maintain it. One basic challenge is this, that getting the flowers and this other resources which help in maintaining the population in dark period. In western part, it won't be much difficult because they will be getting pollen enough in enough numbers in this area when especially the rain starts. So this can be a good opportunity. There can be a good opportunity, but more importantly, it will be centering around Apis cerana, that is SCNB, not with Apis mellifera that much. So my suggestion is to government of West Bengal, through horticulture department especially, that they can encourage the maintenance and the management of Apis cerana in the western part of Bengal. We are also trying this in a very limited way, that can be of much help as livelihood of the forest dwellers and the villages surrounding the forest in the western part of Bengal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So our panel, we don't have any more questions and seeing that. So our panel discussion ends here. Now I request Deepshikha Banerjee, Faculty Department of Anthropology from our college, to give the valedictory address, please. Deepshikha.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I will now take some time to offer my heartfelt gratitude to our resource person, Professor Shantanu of Bidhan Chandra Viswavidyalaya, and Sri Subhankar Gupta of Buxa Tiger Reserve, who have enlightened us about management in the time of pandemic through panel discussion. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our respected principal, Madam Dr. Dinisha Ghosh for her help and guidance. I wish to thank our IQAC coordinator, Bunga Madam, for helping and guiding us through this state-level webinar organized by our institution. I wish to extend my gratitude to the technical experts of our college, whose technological expertise helped us to successfully organize this webinar. I thank the participants for their cooperation and patience. Finally, I would like to thank the teaching and non-teaching staff of our college for their support and contribution toward holding this webinar. We hope to organize many more of them in the coming days. Congratulations and thank you. So we have come to the end of the session of this webinar. Before you leave, I am requesting to all participants, please fill the feedback form. The feedback form link already given in the chat box. If you don't fill the feedback form, you will not get your e-certificate because it is auto-generated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Jha and Professor Mr. Sengupta. Thank you so much. সবাইকে বলা হচ্ছে ফিডব্যাক লিংক দেওয়া হয়ে গেছে চ্যাট বক্সে, ফিল আপ করুন এবং সার্টিফিকেট নিন। পরবর্তীকালে আমরা কিন্তু সার্টিফিকেট দেওয়ার কোনো অনুরোধ রাখতে পারবো না, কারণ সার্টিফিকেটস আর অটো জেনারেটেড। All participants are requested to please fill up the feedback form following the feedback link which has been posted in the chat box.
Okay, Mr. Sengupta, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It was
After pretty long.
virtually.
Yeah, virtually. Nice meeting.
Thank you, both the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you virtually also, though virtually, but I'm very happy to see you both here.
Nice meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Good night.